Hello, friends. I am Pastor Robert Abner, and I serve Lutheran Church of the Cross in Muncie, Indiana, and Grace Village, the Lutheran Episcopal Presbyterian campus ministry at Ball State University. Good to be with you as we spend some time in devotion and discussion and theology during this pandemic that we are still living through. Again, just a reminder, making these videos, maybe for those of you who are watching for the first time, we've been making these videos to help us still feel connected as community, because we are still the church, even if we can't physically gather as often or in the same way that we'd like to. So, today's video was a fun one for me to plan for a little bit. Many of you know I enjoy the Halloween season, and I like scary movies and things like that. And we've been talking about things leading up to this video. We've talked about ghosts, and we've talked about death and what happens and things like that. And so today I would like to talk to you all about Halloween, and more specifically, is it okay for Christians to celebrate Halloween? It's a question that comes up often. It's very highly, I don't know why it's so talked about, but it is, because churches that are more conservative, or churches that are more fundamentalist, are pretty opposed to Halloween because they say it's the devil's holiday. And so let's talk about the origins of Halloween, how it came to be, and why you as a Christian should not have any concern with celebrating Halloween or letting your children trick or treat. So let's break some of that down here. Again, let's start with people calling it the devil's holiday, but there are no satanic origins to Halloween. There are pagan origins, and we're going to get into that. But there are pagan origins to traditions and other Christian holidays that we celebrate. Not that the holidays are pagan, but the traditions that we observe during those times have pagan origins. So there are lots of things we do that have pagan origins. So to say we shouldn't celebrate Halloween or do certain Halloween traditions because they are of pagan origin, we're going to have to get rid of a whole lot of stuff in our life. And some churches do that. So kudos to them for being consistent across the board. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, Halloween takes place on, as you all know, October 31st. And it's the night before All Saints' Day. Or another term for All Saints' Day was All Hallows Mass. So the night before All Hallows Mass was All Hallows Eve, or Hallow Evening, or Halloween. That's how we get. So, as usual, when I'm doing these videos, this is just me fast and loose talking about these topics, and it's not a dissertation by any means, because, who's got time for that, and who would watch those videos anyway? So, let's start back with about 2,000 years ago with a group of people called the Celts, who lived throughout Ireland and Scotland and different parts of Britain. And they had a holiday that was called Samhain, or Samhain. And it's spelled, that word may not sound familiar to you. You may have seen it spelled, which it's spelled to look like Samhain, Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. And it was the end of summer festival, a harvest festival, end of the harvest, and it actually led into the Celtic New Year, which would happen on November 1st. But it was, the end of summer, and it was the beginning of a dark, cold winter. And, to them, visually, Earth was dying for the season. And we see that even now, especially if you live in the Midwest. You look around, you see the leaves falling off the trees. The crops are being picked because they're dying. And so, it's this imagery of the world dying. And I've always said, we observe Christ's death on Good Friday, and then we celebrate Christ's resurrection on Easter Sunday, which we'll talk about Easter too. But I've always said, image-wise, it would seem interesting to celebrate Good Friday or observe Good Friday kind of at the end of summer, at fall, as we see the world dying, and then celebrate the resurrection in the spring, as we do, as new life is being born. But I digress. So this time of death of the earth and the crops and everything became associated as well with human death. And there developed this theory that the veil between the worlds, this world and the world to come, was blurred, or it was at its thinnest, and that's still a belief held among pagan folks today. And it would be a time that spirits could come visit. They could cross over from their world into ours. And so people, believing their loved ones would maybe be popping by for a visit, would leave food or drink for them outside of their home, or even hold feasts for their dead relatives. Feasts for dead people. Such a strange idea, right? They would also light big bonfires. They would sacrifice crops and animals, and then those people would take the flames from those bonfires back to their homes as sort of a symbol for good luck, and bringing the big fire into their homes to help get them through these hard times to come. Often during those times, people would also wear disguises or costumes, and sometimes they would do that to look like some of these folks who have passed on before them, or they would do it to hide from spirits. Maybe they didn't want to be found by a spirit, so they would be in costume or disguise. And sometimes these people would go door to door, and they would, what was called mum. They would go mumming, and they would go or sing or act door to door, and for that they would receive treats. And those treats would either be thrown into the fire as sacrifice, as tribute, or those treats would be kept for themselves. Door to door, asking for treats, in costume. Ringing any bells yet? Okay? So, as the Celtic people who lived about 2,000 years ago. Then the Romans came and conquered them in the 40s. Womp, womp. The Romans, always, right? And those early Romans, the Roman Empire, would rule over those Celtic lands for about 400 years. And so during that time, some Roman festivals started to become adapted to Samhain. And so one of those particular festivals was called Feralia, or Feralia. I don't know the proper pronunciation, but it was a time that would typically take place in late October, and the Roman would commemorate their dead loved ones, okay? So this Roman commemoration of the dead. You got to understand, across cultures, there have always been holidays celebrating the dead, commemorating the dead, observing that loved ones have passed on. This crosses cultures throughout the world. Another holiday that the Romans would commemorate their goddess Pomona. And Pomona was typically symbolized by an apple, and this is where we get the idea for bobbing for apples. So the Romans adding a little bit of their culture to Celtic culture, also still again this commemoration of the dead. Now, speaking of other holidays and adapting to culture, Pope Boniface IV established a day for all martyrs, and it was All Martyrs' Day, and that was established on May 13th in the year 609. 609 CE or AD, Anno Domini, Common Era, whatever your pick is. But later, that holiday that was All Martyrs' Day on May 13th was moved in the 800s. So in the year of the 800s, it moved to November 1st, and it became All Saints and Martyrs' Day. So the Christians already had a holiday of commemorating the saints. Strange, I know, right? And it's speculated that the Christians probably moved their holiday from May 13th to November 1st because it was already happening in places like England and Germany, because it was already coinciding with the pagan converts' celebrations and commemorations of their dead loved ones. So they're like, well, they're already celebrating it on November 1st anyway. Why not officially move the church's holiday to that day? Then furthermore, the church added All Souls Day on November 2nd, and those 3 days of All Hallows Eve, All Hallows Day, or All Saints Day, and then All Souls Day became known as All Hallow Tide. Kind of like in the spring we celebrate Eastertide, right? So now we have All Hallow Tide, and we're going to talk more on that next week. I've got some more stuff coming up for you all. Next week, we're going to talk about Reformation Day, which is also October 31st, and we're going to talk about All Saints Day, which is November 1st. So, to recap, the pagan Celts celebrating Samhain around October 31st, right? Then the Romans come, and they're with the Celts for 400 years, and so the Roman pagan holidays of, I just lost it, Pomona, commemorating Pomona, and then this holiday of Feralia, all right? Now adapting Samhain even more, and now The Christians have come and they've lived amongst and converted the Celtic people, and they add All Saints and All Souls Day. Okay, so by the 800s, Christianity has spread to the Celtic lands, and All Souls was also, all right, All Souls Day was also celebrated with what? Big bonfires and costumes. Costumes of saints, angels, and devils. And now, Samhain and All Saints Day start to blend. And let's be honest, this was probably intentional. As the church sought more converts, they would move some of their holidays around in order to make it more palatable to the new converts. And because of that, because All Saints Day, All Souls Day, and Samhain all start to blend, we get the holiday that we know as Halloween, right? So, while Halloween traditions have pagan origins, Halloween is not satanic in origin. Like, something is satanic if you worship Satan, okay? And even then, that's a loaded term between worshiping the devil, worshiping Satan, the modern satanic church, the modern satanic temple, all things we could talk about in another video. But that to say that many of our church holiday traditions have pagan origins and dates that correspond to pagan holidays. This is intentionally done for ease of conversion. Now, while other church holidays are not pagan, Christmas is not pagan. It's Christ Mass, right? But it's right around the time of the winter solstice, right? And then we have Christmas trees. Christmas trees are of pagan origins, just like Easter. Even the word Easter is of pagan origin. But when we celebrate the resurrection, we are near the vernal equinox, the spring equinox, right? And so it coincides with some of those festivals that were already happening. And when you have Easter bunnies of pagan origin, Easter eggs of pagan origin, you see what I'm getting at here, right? So Halloween, though it has traditions in pagan origin, is not intrinsically evil, and there should not be any concern of celebrating Halloween, right? Unless you project evil onto it, right? So it would be no different than, again, some of those pagan traditions that we do for Christmas and Easter. Christmas trees, Easter bunnies, Easter eggs, Yule logs, mistletoe, all those things, right? Pagan origin. Because these were just people before they converted to Christianity. And then they converted to Christianity, and they just kept those traditions with them, and they attached Christian explanations to them, okay? So, all that to say, all those people from Europe came to the United States. They blended their traditions, their costumes, their fun, playing tricks on people, right? Getting treats for walking around in costumes. They brought jack-o'-lanterns, which used to be turnips that they would hollow out and put lights in. All these European traditions came to this great country of ours with the people who came here, all from all different places, all of these immigrants. They brought these traditions together, and we get our fun celebration of Halloween, or All Hallows Eve. And then we lead into a day where we remember our loved ones who have gone on, where we remember the saints, All Saints Day. Okay? And so Halloween is harmless fun. Unless someone eggs your house, that's not cool. But, don't feel bad about letting your children dress up and have fun and imagine and tell ooky spooky stories, as long as it doesn't give them nightmares. As long as you're not, worshiping evil spirits or worshiping the dead or anything crazy like that. Again, it's just a fun holiday with fun traditions attached to it. It's perfectly harmless, right? So, it's as harmless as anything until you make it not harmless anymore. Right? And we could say that about anything. We could say that about board games or the internet, right? It's harmless until you make it not harmless anymore. So, hope you've enjoyed this video. It was fun to talk about. So have fun this Halloween. Carve your pumpkins. Let your kids dress up as their favorite cartoon characters. Let them go out and get candy, but don't let them eat too much of it. Let them be safe. Don't steal too much of their candy. And if you've got any questions about what we talked about here today, or you need me to clarify or go in depth on anything further, by all means, shoot me a message. Be glad to do it. So, I hope you all are doing well. I haven't figured out what I'll talk about this Thursday, but I definitely know that next Tuesday I'll be talking about the Reformation. Next Thursday I'll be talking about All Saints' Day. Who knows what I'll do this Thursday. So, you all take care, stay safe. Cases are going back up. Who knows what that means, but wash your hands, brush your teeth, wear a mask, everything in between that you got to do, and take care of one another and love one another as Jesus loved us. We'll see you next time, and may the Lord bless you and keep you until we gather again.